Hi everyone, it's Heidi from flutterbyheidi.co.uk. I'm Heidi Smith. I'm an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator based in the United Kingdom. And today I'm bringing you the video to go with this card I made for the Inspiring blog hop. So if you want to see more inspiration of what's new for you, then by all means pop over. And I've actually got a couple of bits which are new to me and perhaps not so new as well. But this is just a fun variation on a foldback card, and hopefully you can see there the shine I've got on that Milkshake glass, and it is the Share a Milkshake bundle that I'm using predominantly, and this is one that is new to me. It's in the catalogue. I've only just had a chance to get it out and play, I think because it's been so wintry and, you know, Christmas, and this felt like a real spring fun card. So I've used Share a Milkshake, which is the new to me, and you can see here I've shared it before on one of which one was it? Probably the one with the beer glasses. Can't think what it's called right now. It's just using some packing tape to create that lovely shine, the quick and easy way. I've also got some lovely shine on here with some silver foil for the little bowl, and I remember them being this sort of stainless steel. A little spoon here with a cherry. You've got some sweet sorbet ice cream with a bit of chocolate sauce. The thing that isn't new to me on this is this scallop, and that's from the Colour and Contour, the Scalloped Contours bundle, and in there you've got this lovely scalloped pierced edge, so I'm going to grab that out now. This bundle also includes these lovely scalloped layers as well, so a really useful one. I don't know how long this is going to be around for. We've had it a couple of years, so I think it might be due to retire soon. I don't know, but who knows? But, you know. And then the hearts are also from Share a Milkshake. And then the DSP is a new to me. It's a share we had at a recent team event, and it's paper that I hadn't bought. It's the Tea Boutique paper. And probably because I really wasn't terribly keen on all the kind of teacup and the really bright images on the front. You know, just didn't really sort of do it for me. But when you look at actually what's on the back, I found some really useful patterns. So on the back of these are some more generic. That floral one's quite nice, but I love the gingham there. Again, this is really pretty. A bit of starry Tahitian tide in that one. A bit of crushed curry. Again, generic floral image, could use that, live with that. Parakeet Party, very much the in colours that came out. So for that reason, I'm surprised I hadn't used it. Petal Pink there, and some sort of more floral images, and I think we might use that one for this. The lemons were actually on the back of this pattern, and then we've got sort of floral images, and again sort of a petal party there as well. So it was new to me. Oh, there we go, and there's the other one, Starry Sky. So it was new to me, so I figured that would kind of sneak in there as well. So that's the original one. And oh yes, these straws, the straw you can see poking in there, there's actually a pre-cut slot as well for that as well, so no more fiddling around with craft knives for you. So I'm going to show you how to make the card. We're going to do a bit of stamping, a bit of die cutting, and overall hopefully we'll have some fun. Now, because of the colours in the paper, I thought I would go with Petal Pink for this, and as much as anything I thought these looked rather nice. Yeah, I'm going to stick with that design actually. So there we go, there's our card, there's our stamp set, and let's get started. So the first thing we're going to do is to do some stamping. So I've grabbed just a scrap of basic white here. I'm going to use my stamping pierce, not because these are photopolymer stamps, and we're just going to stamp the various images that we need. So I've got here my outline, along with the detail. So we're going to have our detail here. We've got our bowl, which actually I'm not going to be using, but I have got my ice cream. We've got our straw, and then we've got the detail of our glass here as well. So the way I found best with this one is I'm going to do my detail stamp first. So this is the kind of the bit with the lines, if I show you what I mean. So first of all, I'm just going to ink that up and stamp that down. Now I'm using petal pink for the card. So actually what I'm going to do is use Calypso Coral to provide that depth of shade. So I'm just going to keep that to one side because I'll want it again in a moment. And then just hover over. So take our main image, hover over, and you may find you need to stamp, or make sure you get over the stamp on that, and then just line that up. And there you get your fabulous glass image. I said about doing the rest of it. So in terms of the ice cream, obviously you could have whatever colour ice cream or froth you wanted, but I kind of went, could this, I think this is a peach milkshake. I'm going to ink that up with my petal pink, and I'm just going to come in with a bit of Calypso Coral just to add a bit of shading to it. And we're going to stamp that first, then we'll die cut that separately. As you can see, that just gives it a bit of interest. I'm going to do my straw, and again I'm going to use the darker Calypso Coral. And again, just line that up. So line it up with the square end, and hopefully you should have a nice straw there as well. And then the final image that I want to do is my cherry. So I have got a bit of cherry cobbler now. If you haven't got cherry cobbler or little cherry as well, so I'm just going to pop that in there like so. Okay, so the only other bit that's left to do is our celebrate. So I'm going to take one of my scraps of white, and I'm actually going to sort of trim it down. I did to the height of our sentiment. And I shall probably stamp that in Calypso Coral. So I'll just move that out to one side. Oh, what I haven't done is my other ice cream either. We'll do that in a moment. So I'm just going to probably, this is probably about sort of ½ inch, I'm saying, probably. Yeah. There we go. Yep, a kind of size and width. So again, about sort of ½ inch as well. There we go. Which I'd forgotten was my small one. And you know what, actually in this one I'm just going to keep the same colour palette. I used a bit of sweet sorbet in there just as a bit of interest, but I'm just going to use some of my Calypso Coral for that one. So now we've got our images, what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut these apart. And that is simply to make it a little easier for me in a moment to get that glossy effect. And as I say, I've done this before. Just get a nice piece of wide packing tape, clear, and just pop it over the top of your image before you die cut. And if it's overhangs, that's fine, you can just trim it away or tuck it underneath, in fact, which I've also been known to do. There we go. So those are ready for us to add our dies. And these are very small dies in here. The other ones I meant to tell you about, actually, you have got this lovely waffle cone, this one here. And that folds up once you've done it, it's already got the waffling on it, so it makes a fabulous waffle cone for an ice cream. And you've got this lovely kind of mesh here as well, and you can pop that behind a sentiment just to add a little bit of extra interest as well. So that's another option. Just pop your dies in place. As you know, particularly on little dies, I tend to add a piece of post-it note, stop them moving around, so that hopefully we'll get our images die cut first time. On this little cherry you'll see there's a little aperture so you can see the stem. And this one I mentioned, that's where you're going to get your cut line. So just add those there. And then the other bits that I'm going to be die cutting, I'm going to be die cutting some hearts and a little bit of kind of chocolate sauce, if you like, to go on as well. There's our little die to cut that out. And then with this, just a scrap of silver foil, I'm going to cut out my little bowl. And I'm going to cut the spoon as well. Back in a moment. So here are our die cut pieces ready for us to assemble. We've got our glass straw, we've got our bowl, and I deliberately cut that one quite close at the top so that when I put my bowl underneath, actually I've got a much closer joining on that one. We've got a little bowl. There's my cherry. I'm just going to put all of those to one side. Oh, that was my little chocolate topping. And those are the hearts that I'm going to use as well. So here we have all our component pieces. I'm just going to, with the mesh, just pop those little squares out. I'm sure someone will find a fabulous use for those. Not that I can think of it right now. Maybe in a shaker card. You could add them as some sort of shaker elements, add a bit of substance. Makes a change from sequins all the time, maybe. There we go. Anyway, there we go. So that I'm going to use. I'm going to use that behind my sentiment. So I just need to stamp my Celebrate onto there. So as I said, just use a bit of Calypso coral. Okay, there we go. And then to create my banner, as I said, I'll just take a slightly longer piece and just have a look. I'm going to cut the one end at an angle. It's almost like putting a layer of ribbon underneath. I'm just going to add that together there. And again, with all of these, I'm going to do my gluing now so that they've got time to kind of settle, if you like, before I create the card itself. So with this little slot, I'm just going to pop my straw through there and add a bit of adhesive behind. And that going to go on the top of my milkshake. I'm going to again add a thin line of adhesive on there. I've got a little bit on the front. Okay, I'll show you how we'll get rid of that in a moment. And with that, I'm actually going to put a dimensional over the join to hold it in place. My cherry on my spoon. Just need a touch of adhesive on the front there. I just thought it was a bit of fun to have the cherry separate. And on this one, where that glue, once that's dry, that will should in fact rub off. I'll try not to get my sticky fingerprints all over it in the meantime, and I'm just going to add my chocolate sauce onto the top as well. So those are our kind of decorative elements, so I'm going to pop all of those. Oh, just need to do my... So just putting adhesive just on the bottom of that strip. And then that's going to go over the top of that that, and that way you don't have to worry about getting adhesives onto the tiny thin strands you've got. So the next thing to do is to create our card base. You're going to need your trimmer and 2 pieces of card. So the first piece of card is 10.5 by 22.5 centimetres, and you're just going to score that at 14.5 and at 18.5. And your second piece of card is a simple panel that is 10.5 by 12.5 centimetres. Just need to reinforce those score lines and just fold that one back on itself. At which point we are now going to attach our second panel. So I'm just going to add some adhesive onto there and then line that up with that outer edge and just hold it for a second. Now the next thing we're going to do is actually die cut across that corner. So all I'm going to do is pop that across, make sure your scallop's going to be there, and attach it. So I've just used a little bit of, if it comes slightly off that's fine, but you do want to make sure that it is just at the top there, that it's, you can see it's within the card, and then pop that through your die cutting machine. When that comes out, you should find that obviously has cut that front panel away, and we just need to run through with our snips on those second panels. So all you're going to do is just trim at the bottom here. If it hasn't quite come away, you'll see there, and just pop your snips in and just follow that line around. And you can do that in 2 stages, so you can do that top layer first to release it, and you'll then find it easier to come in and snip around there. So that second one is, it's made the impression, so you're just using your snips to cut through. So there you've got your lovely panel on the front, and as you can see, that then opens up like so. So pop that to one side. The next bit we want to do is to add our DSP. So you want to cut a piece of DSP that's 14 by 10 centimetres. So the next thing is to create our panel for the front. I've changed my mind, I'm going to go for the slightly different pattern. And what you need to do is, this is our pattern overall, we need to mark it at 2 centimetres on this bottom edge here. So just line it up at 2 and make a little mark. Then you're going to cut diagonally by lining up the top left hand corner with that mark and just cut that. And that's the piece that's then going to sit on the inside back of our card, like so. So you just see that outer edge. We now want to cut the piece of card of white for the front. So again, you're going to need a piece of basic white, and you just want to trim that to 10 by 12 centimetres. So I'm just going to do that now. And that actually can be this one, you can just cut it straight away across the diagonal, and that will then just fit in, you'll see, against that piece, and you just move it along depending on where you want it to be. So by 12, I'm just going to double check that. So the way I would double check is have a look at that now, and is that going to fit? Yeah. So I'm just going to come diagonally across there. Pop these 2 pieces in. I use an erasable pen, so that mark will disappear, and I can now add my piece of DSP onto the front, onto the back even there. going to fit in there. Always hold your breath just in case first. Like so. So now what we want to do, I just noticed I've got a bit in there, is we're going to create our panel for the front. And for that I've used some basic white, and then I've popped it through the embossing folder with the lovely painted texture embossing folder. So for that you're going to take a piece which is 12 by 10 by 12 centimetres. Again, you're going to mark it at 1 centimetre and then cut the diagonal. Once you've run that through, you'll end up with this piece which is going to go on the front there, and that will also cover up if you ended up with any marks from your die cutting. It's not going to show. Now I chose this painted texture one because I kind of figured it was, I know it's paint, but it's kind of a bit like, maybe like ice cream, and I figured, well, with my sort of sorbet that's on there, I might get away with it. So there we go. So we're almost there. So I'm going to pop my grid here, and then I'm going to take that sentiment and add some dimensionals and add our other items onto the front. So if we turn those over, we can then pop our dimensionals onto the back of all of those. She says, when you can find your dimensionals. Right, there we go. Okay, so obviously on this I want to not do what I've just done, which is to move it. Obviously it takes a bit longer to adhere because of the tape on the front there. So just make sure you pop a sort of 2 or 3 dimensionals at the top there to hold that in place. Then another couple coming down. We've already added our dimensional onto our smaller one. Gosh, I'm fingers and thumbs today. So I'm going to pop that right on the front edge there. Then we can add our little bowl. And then my little spoon, which I think I'm just going to add that with a bit of flat glue on there. And I'm going to add dimensionals onto 2 of the hearts. The third one is very small, so I'm actually going to put that one flat onto the back of the card. So I'm going to put 2 on that bigger heart, and we'll add a little heart. Then we just need to add our sentiment on our banner to that. So we just need to add some dimensionals onto the back of our sentiment as well. And again, because we're using it to hold down our mesh, I'm actually going to add sort of 3 dimensionals onto that. But I just thought it'd be nice to have a little bit of an extra element on there, and it makes use of more of the dies for you as well. So let's pop our celebrate on there. We can now add our hearts. And the hearts, I don't know whether I noticed, I told you before, but they actually are a single die that cuts out all 3 in one go. So it does just make it easier. Probably put a bit too much adhesive on that by the looks of it, but hey. One of those where I'm going to need my take your pick to pop that. There we go. So, there we have, eventually, our 2 cards. Foldback cards using the lovely share a milkshake bundle and with a bit of help from colour and contour as well. So enjoy, have fun creating. As I said, if you can score a straight line, you can make this. And if you'd like to purchase any of the items you've seen today, just pop along to Stampin' Up, and when you get to the checkout, if you could select me as your demonstrator, I would really appreciate it. And likewise, if you need a catalogue, just drop me a message and I can get one out to you. Thank you for watching, and hit that subscribe button too. Bye now.